Okay, good evening, everyone. Shalom Aleichem. Tonight we're learning Daf Nun Vav Amud Aleph. Says the Mishnah, Hanoid min Abayis, one who makes a neder not to get hana from a house. Mutter ba'aliyah is allowed to get hana from the second story. Divrei Rabbi Meir. This is the opinion of Rabbi Meir. V'chamim oimrim. The Chachamim say aliyah b'chlal habayis. The upper story is like the house. So it's machlokes. When you say house, do you mean only the first floor, or do you mean the second floor also? So Rabbi Meir says, when you say the house, you mean the upper story also. Rabbi Meir is of the opinion, when you say a house, you mean the upper story as well. And the Chachamim say no. When you say a house, you are mutter in the upper. Rabbi Meir says you're mutter in the aliyah, and the Chachamim say aliyah b'chlal habayis. But hanoidim and aliyah, if you make a neder from the upper story, mutter b'bayis. That for sure you're mutter in the house itself. In other words, there's a machlokes whether the house includes the upper story, but everyone agrees the upper story does not include the house. Says the Ran, Min Abayis mutter ba'aliyah du Rabbi Meir. According to Rabbi Meir, aliyah lessa b'chal bayis. The aliyah is not part of the house. Rabbanan pligi alei. The Rabbanan argue the Srilu, they hold the aliyah b'chlal bayis. Miyumayda, they agreed that hanod min aliyah mutter b'bayis. If you make another from the upper story, you're mutter in the bayis. Okay, fine. Says the Gemara, man Tana, who's the Tana of this coming brisa? Beves, it says in the house, it says in the Parsha of Torah, v'nasati neged Torah v'veis eretz achuz aschem, bevayis l'rabbi says haliyah. In the house, it includes the upper story. Now, why do I need a pasuk to include the upper story if the upper story is already included in the house, according to the Chachamim? The Chachamim say aliyah b'chlal bayis. The fact that there's a drasha l'rabbi says aliyah must be, this is going according to Rabbi Meir. Rav Chizra Meir di Rabbanon ha'amri Rabbanon aliyah b'chlal bayis. Lama likra bevayis l'ribuya. Why would I need a pasuk bevayis to include the upper story if according to the Chachamim, the upper story is b'chlal the bayis? Says the Gemara, Abaye Omar, Abaye says fil tim Rabbanon. It could even be the Rabbanon. Ba ikra. You still need a pasuk. Why? The Sakadai Techamina, I would have thought, Beveis eretz achuz aschem ksiv. It says in the house of the land of your inheritance, which means the mechaber ba'ara shmei bayis. Whatever is connected to the ground is a house for this halacha. But aliyah, even though normally aliyah is part of the bayis, aliyah haloi mechaber ba'ara. The upper story is not connected to the ground. So even though normally the upper story is connected to the ground, but not legabe hilchos toras, because it doesn't just say bevayis, it says bevayis eretz achuz aschem, which implies that the house has to be connected to the ground. Fine. Says the Ran. The Ran is a little bit further on the page, like halfway down through the page. Beveis eretz ksiv, koloimar bayis hamechubar la'aretz. The house connected to the land. Marehu aliyah. No Ran. No Ran is going on later. Okay. The Gemara continues. Kaman oza hada amar Rav Huna Barachia mishmei Ula. According to who does it go like? That which Rav Huna Barachia said in the name of Ula. Bayis beveisi ani moichalach. We have a brayso that says, a house in my house I'm selling to you, Marehu aliyah. Let's say like this. Let's say the seller says, I'm selling you a house in my house. Bayis b'veisi ani moichelach. Marehu aliyah. He could say, you know what I sold you? I sold you the attic. Now, taimod, so that means that if the seller says, I'm selling you a house in my house, he could later say to the buyer, you know what I sold you? I sold you my attic. Which is very interesting. The reason he could show him the attic is because he could say, a house, in my house I'm selling to you. But let's say he didn't say bayis b'vayis. Bayis stam. Let's say he just would have said house stam. Einu mareu aliyah. Can't show him the attic. Why? Because an attic is not part of the house. An attic is only a house in the house. But an attic is not part of the house. It's a raya to Rabbi Meir. Lema Rabbi Meir here says Gemara, Afil Teim Rabbanan. You can even say it's to Rabbanan. My aliyah. What does it mean an aliyah? Me'ula shebebatim. The best of the house. The best of the houses. Now we're saying that this has no implication at all on the above mentioned shaila. If you say bayis, shebe bayis, a house of my house, what you mean is, I'm going to sell you my best real estate. So the halacha is, he could sell him, he has to show him his best real estate. Let's see the Rad. Bayis beveis eretz ksiv kalaymar bayis hamachubar la'aretz, a house connected to the land. Marehu aliyah, he could show him the attic. And ratzam moicher, if the seller wants, Aimer lelakech, he could say to the buyer, aliyah macharti lach, I sold you the attic. Af agav degriya, even though that's low quality, diyad lokech al tachtoina. The hand of the buyer is beneath, meaning the seller has possession, so he could say, I sold you the attic. Lema Rabbi Meir hi v'loi Rabbanan. The only reason he could say I sold you the attic is because he said bayis shababayis. But ordinarily he can't sell him the aliyah. Lema Rabbi Meir hi v'loi Rabbanan do Rabbanan afagav do lo yamar bayis b'veisi. According to Rabbanan, even if you didn't say bayis b'veisi, ela bayis ani moichelach, only a house I'm selling to you, mareu aliyah. He could sell him the attic. He could show him the attic. Because according to him, the attic is part of the house. My aliyah me'ula shababatim v'hachi kamar mareu aliyah al karchach shel moicher, against the will of the seller. He has to show him his best stuff. The kivan da amarle, since he said to him bayis b'veisi, so tzarch livra loy ha'me'ula, he has to select to him the best stuff. So in other words, we're changing the whole meaning. We're saying if someone says bayis b'veisi, he has to show him his very best stuff. He has to show him his very best stuff. V'davka da'amar bayis b'veisi. It's dafka if he says, a house in my house. Ha'amar bayis stam, but if he says stam a house, loy, el mareo garo, he could sell him a lower quality house. Says the Mishnah, hanoider min hamita, if someone makes a neder, he's not going to get benefit from a mita. Mutter badargash, he's allowed to get benefit from a dargash. What a dargash is, we're going to have to see. It's something like a bed, but not quite a bed. So if you make a neder from a mita, you're mutter in a dargash. Divrei Rabbi Meir. These are the words of Rabbi Meir. But the Chachamim say dargash b'chlal mita. Dargash is incorporated in a bed. Hanoid min adargash. If you make a neder from a dargash, mutter b'mita, you're permitted in a bed. Says the Rana on the Mishnah. It's all the way third line on the top. Dargash mefarish b'gemara. Mutter, okay, The next Ran is going on, I guess, later on in the Gemara. Says the Gemara, my dargush, Amar Ula, Arsa Degada, a bed of good luck. It's a bed they would put out for the angel that guards the house. So no human actually slept there. It was like symbolic that it's for your guardian angel. He should stay there. So if you ask her mita, you're mutter in a dargish. Amar Ula Arsa Degada, a bed of good luck. Amrule Rabban al Ula the Chacham Satula Haditnan. We learned in a Mishnah in Sanhedrin, Kishehin Mavrin. It's talking about when a king is sitting shiva, when they give the king his first meal as of an avel. Kala Mesubin al Aretz. Everyone sits on the floor. Who meisav ala dargash? He leans on the dargash. So now the question is, Kula shata lo yasavala. The whole year, the king's not sitting on the dargash. It's for good luck. Hahu yoima yasavala. And then now when he's mourning, we let him sit on the dargash. Why would we do that? So the Gemara says, Maskef lo Ravina. Ravina asked on the Rabbanan's kasha, Midi dahava basverian. It's like meat and wine. The kulishati boy achali boy lo yachal. The rest of the year, if the king wants to eat meat and wine, he could. If he doesn't have to. Hahu yaima anan yavina le. But when he's a mourner, we give him the wine and the meat against his will. He has to eat it. Says the Ran, 3 lines from the bottom. Arsa degada noigin hoyulat sia mita lamazal habayis. The minhag was to spread out a bed for the good luck of the house. Gada mazal. Gada means good luck. V'doimaloi, and similar to it, b'soiv parak b'ama isha yoytza. God gedi v'sanukloi. Kishahayu mavrin oisai l'koin gadol. When they give the koin gadol the sudas havra, she'ira loy avel. If an avel happened, if an avelos happened, masnisin hi b'parak koin gadol. Kula shasa lo yasav ala. The whole year he doesn't sit on this bed. Ad achshav lo yashav ala isamita. Shahri munachasi l'sar habayis. The rest of the year it's designated for the angel of the house. Bahashta the avel. Now that he's an avel, hu yasav ala. He does sit on it. Mehechi tepiglan. Why would we do such a thing? Says the Gemara, Ela hakasha. Here's the question. The Tanya, we learned in a Braisa that in Avel, we know an Avel overturns his bed. Dargash loy hayu kaifeu. He doesn't overturn the dargash. Ela zoikfai. He sets it straight up. Vi amr arsa degadahu. If the bed is a bed of good luck, then he should have to turn it over like any other bed. Vatanya hakoifes mitasai. When an avel turns over his bed, loy mitasa b'vadu kaifa, he doesn't just turn over his own bed. Ela kol mita sheyesh lo b'tei chabayis kaifa. He turns over all the beds in the house. He turns over all the beds in the house. So why would he turn over the mita the dargash? Says Gemara like kasha. That's not a question at all. Why he doesn't turn over that bed? Because midi dahava amita miuchedes lekelim. It's like a bed that services other kelim. The Tanya went in a brayse im ha'isa mita miuchedes lekelim. If it's a bed that services other kelim, ein sarach lechvaisa. You don't have to turn it over. So this bed that's for the ministering angel is like a bed that's servicing other things. It's not a usable bed, and therefore it doesn't have to be turned over. Okay, Rabbi, so we'll hold it here. And next week we will continue in the great Meseches Nedarim. Have a good night, everyone. Bracha v'atzlacha.